Hello, this is part 7 of our creating a third person controller or third person shooter game. If I sound a bit croaky, it's because I'm ill at the moment, so I apologise if you need subtitles to understand me or you need to turn those on. Yeah, essentially I do, yeah, really sorry for that. But hopefully we can move as quickly as possible without me hopefully not saying too much before I just croak up and probably die and record forever. Anyway, what did we do last time? So let's have a look. Let's press play because I can't actually remember. So, yes, we did. I'm just realising where we are. So we created this enemy kind of follow system, which I'm very happy with, very nice and smooth because we used the normalize to get that going. But one thing, if we just quickly check, if I go here, if I press pause and then click on our enemy, we can see our enemy here is currently facing us. But if I go unplay and currently go back into my game and let's move around, our enemy isn't facing us on its right axis. So I want it to follow us on the right axis, and look at this with that Z axis right into our face. So if I press play again, if I start the game again, when we want the blue arrow to turn around, so the Z axis to face our character. So once we implement the block away and put an actual character in, the character will actually turn and the enemy will actually face us. So this is really important and something we need to implement and sort out, and something we can do within our enemy script. So what we're going to do is we're going to come out of this into our scripts and open enemy AI. There we go. So what we need to do is it's all going to happen within our AI controller. Okay, so within here and checking if it's grounded, because we can pretty much just knock it out of the park, and just making sure just in this part that it is everything is going to work. So what we need to do is look at quaternion. So we may have looked at quaternion within our player script here. Just looking at the player controller for the rotation. Did we look at quaternion? Drum roll? Yes, we did. As you can see, transform dot local rotation equals quaternion angle of the rotation. So the end of the script is a little bit different, but the transform dot local rotation is really important. So and we can add that in. So actually, adding this, we can add a simplified version of this. So transform.local rotation is saying to our object, okay, you need to, not in local space, not in world space, sorry, but in local space, you need to turn and look at the player of what you're targeting on, which we've already done in our enemy script. As you can see where we've tagged it as player. What we need to do is make sure that its look rotation is directed at us within its own direction as well. So what we're going to do, essentially take what we've just looked at from our player script here, player.look rotation or transform.look rotation or local rotation even. Sorry, it's the illness kicking in there. So what we're going to do is transform.local rotation, and then what we're going to do is equal our quaternion again dot look rotation, because that's where we want it to look round at us. And how is it going to move around and look in its rotation? Well, some people, this is where it can get a little bit confusing, where some people think, okay, well, we're moving using velocity. Well, yes, but remember that our vector of velocity is, at the moment, it's at 1, but if we times that in with our time.delta time, that could become tricky. So what we're going to do is just do velocity equals our direction. So what we're going to do is just add in our direction, which is not affected by time delta time. It's a velocity that's affected by it. So it should do a nice smooth rotational look. So what we're going to do is just do brackets and write in direction. but what is our quaternion actually going to affect. Cool, lovely. So let's quickly save that and have a look at this. So what happens is just let it compile. Oh, there we go. Press play. And okay, we've got okay, so we've got a bit of an issue here. You can see that the direction of our controller is kind of working, but if I just move the controller around like this, you can see that it's got this kind of horrible lean. And so that may be due to that it's off the ground initially, but we can freeze that. So initially, let's have a look at this again. So it's our direction that it's affected this as we've just implemented this script. So let me just move this around, and as you can see, we can see that here we have an issue of it leaning over, and that direction, obviously, if we look at our axis and click on enemy, this is our y-axis that it's leaning over. So as you can see, it's leaning over at one point of our position, or even our rotations at 72. So what we need to do is change this. We need to change, just fix this apparently, get it fixed in place. So what we can do is, again, in here, we can just say direction, direction, yep, oh, it's having a think. This is interesting, oh, lovely. Direction dot y, because it's only the y-axis we want it to affect, equals 0. Cool. Let's save that. Yep. Press play, let it compile. And then hopefully that should fix that tiny little issue we have there. Fantastic. And as you can see, because I'm already clicked on the blue enemy, we can see that arrow is already facing us. So when we do implement an actual character, this will be fine. The character will rotate and look at our player as well. Brilliant. Okay. So let's get on and have a think and have a look at a very basic kind of health system. So I've seen kind of things on YouTube tutorials before where health systems have been created separately for enemy and player, and that's simply just not the case. You can actually create a system just for one, and you may see it on Scripting API, or there's Unity in general if you are looking at other tutorials apart from this. And anyone that's kind of works on Unity stuff or been trained by Unity will use a universal health system. And what is meant by that is essentially that both health systems, or it's one script controlling both the health and damage for both player and enemy. Because essentially, what's the difference? Not a lot, apart from numbers where a player might have 200 health, an enemy might have 100 health, as an example. That's essentially all that is different. So what we're going to do here is set up and test out that simple universal health system script. So what we're going to do is right click here and go create C# script, and I'm just going to call this health system. Lovely jubbly. And right click on that. There we go. Cool. So with this, there's just a couple of things that we need to think about when it comes to a health system. Okay. So we need to think about, so let's create some private integers. Our first one is going to be our maximum health. What can we have? So underscore max health. We then can have obviously a minimum health, obviously before we die. And then we can have our current health. So what is the status of our player during play? We can call this underscore current health. Lovely. Okay, so in void start, if we just quickly test this out, what we can do is if we say underscore current health is equal to underscore max health, semicolon that, save this. And what we're going to do with this health system script is we're going to implement it into both our enemy and our player. So let that compile. And so we're going to have health system, drag that into enemy. And if you go to enemy, go to overrides and apply all, because we've just added this script. So click apply all. Lovely. And then grab the health system script and add it to our player. Make sure that's in there. Lovely. Okay, cool. So what we need to do, just quickly, let's get rid of these. Go back onto our script and let's serialize these fields so we can see them within our inspector. Always does this and then decides to do it later. There we go. Serialize field. Serialize field. And serialize field. Lovely. So what we're going to do is if we save this, this will affect both of our scripts. So, and you may have noticed that I haven't put any numbers or anything yet. That's fine. And as you can see, universal health system is within our enemy, and if we click on our player, it's within our player as well. So what we could do, if we look at our max health, let's create our max health. Let's just say, what did I say earlier? 200. That's fine. And our minimum health is 1. That's fine. What I can do, because we put our script in, we can get these talking to each other. And we'll do this a step-by-step process so you can understand what we're going to try and do. So if I've got my max health at 200, minimum health at 1, and within the script, I've said at start, current health is equal to max health, what I should get, what I should get, if I scroll down, there we go. When I press play, if we look on the inspector, and oh, I forgot about that. Let's come out of this. There we go. So have a look at here. There we go. We can see that this part of our script is now working. Where max health is 200, current health is also 200 because we said it's equal to that. Okay. And equally enough, what we can also do is what's brilliant about using one script but implementing them on different different parts of game objects. What I can do is actually create a health for 100 minimum, 1 for our enemy. Let's just quickly save that. And if I press play, then we can see that just from one script, we can see that here, our health system, max health 100, current health 100 as well. So again, it's our current health and max health working together. So that's the script working. But what's the beauty of using one script, but serializing the fields and making them different within the inspector is that max health is 100 here, but our player health is totally different. It's 200, it's double, but it's still the same script. And this is what we're essentially doing by utilizing this universal health and damage system. You don't need to create two. So because we didn't apply the numbers here, we didn't say max health is equal to 100 within our serialized field, and we've just left it blank. Everything is just set to 0 and allowing us to edit that within the inspector and creating different integers for each one. Okay, so that is a real quick system of making our health systems a lot easier. Okay, so what we're going to do just before I finish off this video is we're going to look at a damage system as well. Look on the same kind of lines as our health system here. So what we can say is, again, we're not going to add any numbers in because then we can customize that if we serialize the field and make within the inspector. So what we can say is let's create a brand new method, so a custom method. Let's make this public so it can be seen by both our enemy AI and our player scripts, because eventually we'll have to add in those implementations from the script into our enemy AI and our player script, and from that destroy the game object, which we're going to look at now. So if we say public void damage, and then we can put in an integer of just a of damage amount. So what we're doing here is just giving this a local variable for damage called damage amount, which is obviously an integer. So what we can say then, we can say current health is minus equals to damage amount. Okay, so what do we mean by that? If our current health is less than our minimum health, you can probably see where we're going with this. So if our current health is less than our minimum health, well, we're technically dead, aren't we? So if we're less than, what did we put our minimum health as? 1, let's say, for example. We can say destroy this dot game object. Fantastic. And it's essentially as simple as that when it comes to creating a universal health system. We've just got to make sure that we name these as our variables and our smaller method variables as clearly as possible, so we know what's going on. So then this script can be implemented on both our enemy and our player. Okie dokes. Well, I feel my throat closing up, and as you can tell, it's very, very croaky, so I apologise once again if it is all coming across a bit crackly. I'm not very well at the moment, so I think I'm going to stop the video there, get this implemented in, have a play around what you can do with the health and the damage scripts as well. Make sure it's all working like we did with the max health and current health, and I will see you very, very soon. Thank you very much.